Okay. Right. Look! Hi, look! I've got all 6 ears going on. Because it's so fucking hot. What else do I have 6 of? Alright, hi, guys. Thanks very much for all the requests. I'm actually, cataloguing them properly now, and the queue is fairly fat and healthy, so it's looking good. I will get to them in no particular order. Oh, look, a TED Talk! Not just a TEDx talk, an actual TED! This had better actually have something to do with technology, entertainment, or design. Entertainment it is! Look, we all watched that Sarkeesian speech, and almost no one could help but side comment on you and your you-ness. I didn't say a damn thing. I was busy listening to the Borg Queen. But come to think of it, there is a point to be made there. If I showed people a picture of you alongside a picture of a short, skinny person, then when asked which of these subjects is more likely to be the victim of oppression, then 9 times out of 10 you will not get picked for that team. The other 1 out of 10 is, a fat chick who hates skinny people of all kinds, of course. And if the skinny person is a white male, then a few well-trained social justice warriors might tweak that ratio to 5 out of 10. Or, indeed, reverse it altogether. Am I being a good feminist?
I am failing as a woman.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I would pity you deeply if I didn't suspect you're taking this somewhere else altogether.
I am failing as a feminist.
Is that a double negative? Or just a tautology?
I have passionate opinions about gender equality, but
You can get cream for that.
I'm a feminist, but I'm a rather bad one. Oh, so I call myself a bad feminist.
See, it's a very ambiguous term. It's like bad Muslim. The coolest Muslims I've ever met are bad at being Muslims. Because all they do is, stand by their loved ones and give to charity. They completely fail at not wanking and not eating bacon and not drinking alcohol and all that shit. Whereas the Muslims who are good at being Muslims are the bad Muslims. Because they will throw all that shit away just for the sake of throwing other people's shit away. You may think this is irrelevant, but I just so happen to have watched this video on the 7th of July. Can I mention it once every 10 years? Is that overkill?
What started as a bit of an inside joke with myself and a willful provocation has become a thing.
Yeah, that's a pretty shrewd summary of being a good feminist.
Let me take a step back.
Alright, how long is this going to take? Many people are laughing at you now, Roxane. And you may find that rather mean. But I'd like to invite you to examine the joke you're about to make.
When I was younger, mostly in my teens and 20s, I had strange ideas about feminists as hairy, angry, man-hating, sex-hating women, as if those are bad things.
I'll let you get away with that joke. You can get away with any joke you like. But the thing is, I still wouldn't laugh, but I would also let a man get away with that joke. If you reverse genders. Would you? In many ways, comedy is a case of trial and error. It's the reason they keep saying things like this is because the audience keeps applauding. It is a good thing to hate sex and to hate men. Your audience finds it laughable that the hatred of sex is a bad thing. Or the hatred of men is a bad thing. My dear, not only are you an excellent feminist, you are a pretty fucking good Muslim.
I was labeled a woman who doesn't play by the rules, who expects too much, who thinks far too highly of myself by daring to believe I am equal, superior to a man.
Don't know what that was. Again, I presume it was a joke type thing. You've trial and errored it into the act, but to me it just looks like you're sort of reflexively saying what you really feel. You're sort of sneezing the truth. And so far no one has corrected your Tourette's there. Which is externally funny, but it sounds like they're laughing with you and not at you. If you're doing it on purpose, bravo. And I'm in a bind here because it would be inappropriate to call you a master troll because you actually look like one. Sorry. But like I said, it does mean you're probably not oppressed.
I hold certain truths to be self-evident. Women are equal to men.
Women are equal to women is a self-evident truth. Men are equal to men is a self-evident truth. Even humans are equal to humans is a self-evident truth. But women are equal to men is the opposite of a self-evident truth. It is a self-contradictory fallacy. Even if all we know about these two parameters is that they have different names, then they are already self-evidently different. There are very few things in this world that we could call logical absolutes. But one thing we really need to stick with for now is X equals X. Because if X doesn't equal X, then not only is this conversation redundant, but so is the entire fucking universe. And if someone tries to tell you that X equals Y, then they are probably simply trying very hard not to sneeze the truth that they believe X is more equal.
We deserve equal pay for equal work.
There you go. Equal pay for equal work doesn't break any logical absolutes. It merely relies on work being logically followed by pay, and it is. It's still not self-evidently true, it's just evidently true. It requires deference to that sequential agreement, but baby steps.
We have the right to move through the world as we choose, free from harassment or violence.
Okay, this is why we are running out of tigers. This is why we're running out of white whales, so to proverbially speak. This is why in Britain we ran out of wolves and bears a bloody long time ago. Because this is what we do. We wander into their habitats, we see them doing their own thing, and we charge at them with a fucking weapon saying, "Stop harassing me!" And when I say we, I do not mean Neanderthals.
We have the right to easy, affordable access to birth control and reproductive services. We have the right to make choices about our bodies free from legislative oversight or evangelical doctrine.
Men still don't have those things. I'm sick of explaining it, but the point is it invalidates whatever point you were trying to make about women ever not having them.
We have the right to respect.
Don't know what that means, and neither do you.
There's more.
Yay!
When we talk about the needs of women, we have to consider the other identities we inhabit. We are not just women.
We're just people? That sounds like it would be a step in the right direction in terms of equality if we just simplified it down a bit, right?
We are people with different bodies, gender expressions, faiths, sexualities, class backgrounds, abilities, and so much more.
So none of these people are equal, but women are equal to men. You're totally helping.
We need to take into account these differences and how they affect us as much as we account for what we have in common, Without this kind of inclusion, our feminism is nothing.
This kind of inclusion. You're not very fond of the other kind of inclusion, I think I understand.
I hold these truths to be self-evident, but let me be clear.
The next thing she says will be your new ringtone, folks. Set your devices to record now.
I'm a mess. I am full of contradictions.
It's a sound like the smell of smoked salmon. Take 12.
There are many ways in which I'm doing feminism wrong.
It seems like there might be a scrap of honesty in there. Trying to claw its way out. The truth is, Roxane, there is no way to do feminism right. Because feminism is a game in which the only outcomes are either endless stalemate or mutually assured destruction. Like tic-tac-toe or thermonuclear war. It's not the act of augmenting anything for the sake of the host. It acts only to diminish the host for the sake of the program and the program's existence. You'll notice that quite recently women were polled in some areas as being less happy than men, self-assessing their unhappiness through a questionnaire or whatever, and coming lower than men. And this is a problem that we should all talk about and solve. It's a problem that even frequented many a news item, because for the first time in recorded history, women were unhappier than men. That's right. Since records began, men have been unhappier than women. And this was never seen as a problem, let alone a news item. Extra, men unhappier for the 100th year in a row. It never occurred to anyone that we should fix this problem by making men happier. But it did occur to feminists, in practice at least, that we can equalise this by making women less happy. And huzzah! It appears to be working. Finally, for the first time, probably in history, everyone is fucking miserable. Nice one, feminism. You finally lived up to your dictionary definition. But you might want to include some small print under your blurb there. Feminism achieves equality. Ingredients: lies, misery, high fructose corn syrup. Take 7.
I have another confession. When I drive to work, I listen to thuggish rap at a very loud volume. Even though the lyrics are degrading to women, these lyrics offend me to my core. The classic Ying Yang Twins song, Salt Shaker, it is amazing. Make it work with your wet t-shirt, bitch, you gotta shake it till your camel starts to hurt.
It's a paradox, and you don't care that it's a paradox. That's why it's funny. It's sort of what funny is. If it's degrading to women, and you're a woman, then you should not enjoy it. Unless there is something you enjoy about being degraded. And I'm sorry to tell you this, feminists. Actually, I'm rather delightedly doe-eyed to tell you this. But that is perfectly normal. And you should not feel ashamed of it. When people love each other very much, they challenge each other. To challenge is to degrade so as to rebuild. It's sort of a long-term trust exercise. I'm sure many of these folks in my audience can think of a degrading sex act they'd like to perform on me. And if any of them did so out of the blue, I would turn to them and say, "You filthy bitch." And it would be the hottest thing I could possibly say, because then we are degrading each other. And we like it. It's a paradox, and we don't care that it's a paradox. That's why it's hard. But see, problems do start to arise if you demand that men degrade you, and then they do. And then one day they stop degrading you at your beck and call, and you accuse them of rape, because they degraded you. Hot paradoxes and funny paradoxes are all well and good until you end up with thousands of innocent men rotting in prison because of your egotistical attempt to solve this paradox using delusions of purity. But hey, those men deserve it. After all, they're thuggish.
Think about it.
Yes, do.
Poetry, right? I am utterly mortified by my music choices.
That is a sign of a person who fundamentally does not understand themselves, or will not. None of the music you like should be a guilty pleasure. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for liking any kind of music. How dare they?
I firmly believe in man work, which is anything I don't want to do.
See, you're not a bad feminist whatsoever. You're just a very bad... Okay, I don't want to fall into this sandpit of you're a bad person. That's language I hear my philosophical opponents use all the time. In my opinion, there are no bad people. There are no bad humans. No one is bad at being a human. Like Aardvarks or whatever. I mean, yes, even Hitler. Hitler was not a bad human. He was a terrible leader, and he wasn't what you would call a people person, but he wasn't bad at being a human. He was one. So let's just say, Roxane, that you're bad at being a basically decent individual, but you're an excellent feminist. Sorry, did I say but?
Including all domestic tasks, but also bug killing, trash removal, lawn care, and vehicle maintenance. I want no part of any of that.
I think we'll manage without you. We could do with some help from the tough girls, but you can, by all means, stay indoors if you positively insist on it.
Pink is my favorite color.
Pink was a boy's colour. And then it was a girl's colour, and it probably swapped over several times before. It appears to be completely arbitrary and inconsequential. If those two words were in your vocabulary, they would be your favourite words.
I enjoy fashion magazines and pretty things.
Do you know who doesn't appreciate pretty things? Blind people. She's not gonna get... Everyone likes pretty things. Everyone! A computer screen is a pretty thing, and you're all staring at one now. Well, alright, some of you are probably just listening to this in the background. I don't blame you. It's like watching a potato have an argument with a parsnip. But as parsnips go, I'm quite a pretty parsnip. She's even a pretty potato. Have I proved my point?
I watch The Bachelor and romantic comedies, and I have absurd fantasies about fairy tales coming true.
So you're a third wave feminist? You just let the waves carry you?
Some of my transgressions are more flagrant.
Okay, this ought to be good. So far we've had laziness, supremacy, anger, envy, projected lust. Can I stick my neck out and say gluttony? But what, pray tell, are these more flagrant transgressions of which you speak?
If a woman wants to take her husband's name, that is her choice, and it is not my place to judge. If a woman chooses to stay home to raise her children, I embrace that choice too.
You let women make choices, you monster!
The problem is not that she makes herself economically vulnerable in that choice. The problem is that our society is set up to make women economically vulnerable when they choose. Let's deal with that.
Oh, my mistake. No, you don't. What can you do? Can you read?
I read.
will read less. See, the argument, I respect women's choices, but they're not choices, is neither a funny paradox nor a hot paradox. It's a downward paradox, a double helix, if you will. But they're still applauding it! Like it makes the slightest fucking dribble of sense. When a woman marries a man, she owns him and his toilings for life, with or without a divorce. And by taking this reality and turning it upside down, as though women are the ones who are the beasts of burden, you can discourage women from marriage, even though it's only beneficial to them. It's like you're against slavery, but for completely the wrong reason. Like the Christians. No, you're I don't even know what the fuck you are in history. You're unanalogizable. Take two.
I reject the mainstream feminism that has historically ignored or deflected the needs of women of color, working class women.
Why? Do you think there are so few working class women who are feminists? Because they respect themselves. They not only can look after themselves, they want to look after themselves. As such, they have the same respect for themselves that they have for men. And as a result, perhaps a circular result, they have the same compassion for men that they have for women. And wouldn't you go right ahead and know it? That's why the one thing hotter than a hot chick is a hot chick who can work. As a matter of fact, if you can work it right, I don't care what's going on down there.
Queer women and transgender women.
Fuck yeah, I'll stop you when I don't want it on my plate.
In favor of supporting white, middle, and upper class straight women. Listen, if that's good feminism, I am a very bad feminist.
Look, I know you think you belong right on the top of the progressive stack, but it just can't take it.
There's also this. As a feminist, I feel a lot of pressure. We have this tendency to put visible feminists on a pedestal.
You're doing it on purpose.
We expect them to pose perfectly. When they disappoint us, we gleefully knock them from the very pedestal we put them on.
What, you mean feminist public figures are treated like every other public figure? Except without all those pesky ethical standards.
Like I said, I am a mess.
Not necessarily, not necessarily. I mean, your speech is definitely a complete fucking mess, but I don't know you. And once again, I will skip through your bit about Beyonce. This is not a fucking glamour magazine in the waiting room of your mother's gynecologist. Or is it?
We demand perfection from feminists.
No! Oh, fuck me, I just tasted that ginger ale from last week. I don't know how that happened. Anyway. Fucking hell, Roxane. We demand perfection for feminists. Not from, for. The people from whom feminists demand perfection is men. Well, at first it was men, then it was white men, then it's straight white men, and now it's straight white cis men. Don't know where we go from there. I'm assuming nowhere, because guess what? I'm not cis. Really? Prove it. Can't. It's intrinsically unprovable. Boom. A massive volcanic fissure just opened up in this whole system. Well, it already opened up, to be fair. I'm a gay Jew. Prove I'm not a gay Jew. You can't. And you sure as shit can't say I'm not trans, because all I have to say is I feel like I'm in the wrong body, and I kind of do. Sometimes I feel like I'm a small person trapped inside the body of a tall person. Like, there's an alien in my head. But no, do you see what I'm saying? For instance, these microaggression alerts that are fapping themselves into our higher learning institutions, it's fucking obvious what they are. They're not just demanding perfection, from straight people, white people, cis people, and men. They're demanding standards even more impossible than perfection. Inobtainable and completely counterproductive standards. While in the meantime it allows and encourages flagrant macroaggressions, as long as they're coming from women, minorities, etc., trickling down the progressive stack that you decided exists intersectionally across all points of the fucking universe. Feminism, ever since day one, has been about women demanding perfection from other people. The reason it's been going on for so long is because perfection is impossible to achieve. The reason it took off at all in the first place is because even though perfection is impossible, men still think women deserve it. But they don't. Nobody does. What everyone deserves is imperfection. You know why? Because your imperfections are the sexiest thing about you. Not you, Roxane. I'm talking to the tough girls.
We want so much, we need so damn much. We go far beyond reasonable constructive criticism.
I mean, I totally could have done another sort of clip collage with this, like I did with the sock puppet, but yeah, I felt this demanded a response somewhat more substantial in the meat department.
To dissecting any given woman's feminism, tearing it apart until there's nothing left.
Sounds a lot like what I do to the social beliefs of individual feminists on my YouTube channel here. And it also sounds like what feminists do to the self-esteems and moral constitutions of every native white boy who dares to step through the gates of an educational institution. Doesn't it?
We do not need to do that.
You're my favourite person in the world right now. Bet you weren't expecting that.
Bad feminism, or really more inclusive feminism, is a starting point, but what happens next?
What happens next is you actually get to the starting point, please. The point at which you are in the least bit inclusive, in principle or in practice. Your ideology is and always has been based not on who it includes, but who it excludes. It is more obvious now than ever before, because you only know how to go in that direction. It's like you're on a speeding train and you have no idea how to slow it down, and you're wondering how you change direction so you can visit the fucking asteroid belt.
We go from acknowledging our imperfections to accountability, or walking the walk and being a little bit brave.
How much walking do you do exactly? I'm hearing a lot of talking. I do a lot of talking too, but I also walk 100 miles a week. In the world's oldest and most diverse urban scum jungle. I have to, or I'll become homeless there. Do you see why I'm somewhat unimpressed by you? I'm a trained actor reduced to the status of a bum, and I've no idea what you call this status to which you've been raised, but you look remarkably like a bum. See, my funny fuse just blew.
If I listen to degrading music, I am creating a demand for which artists are more than happy to contribute a limitless supply. These artists are not going to change how they talk about women in their songs until we demand that change by affecting their bottom line.
I don't know what you mean. Perhaps you could solve this conundrum 50 seconds later in the video.
We can change the radio station when we hear songs that treat women as nothing.
How can a song treat women like nothing? Except by not mentioning women whatsoever. Referring to a woman's camel is not treating her like nothing. And if it is, you've already told us that you enjoy that kind of music. You enjoy this music, but your religion tells you it's the devil's music. So you listen to your religion instead. And that's so fucking sad I can't even walk. Still, at least you can acknowledge that there is a paradox going on in there, but in solving it, or attempting to solve it, you came up with completely the wrong answer. Baby steps, eh? Oh shit, baby steps didn't work, did they? Embryo steps, testicle steps. Okay, I think that's just fapping in your eye, isn't it?
Certainly, it is difficult. Why must it be so catchy?
I tried to unstupid you. I think I just re-stupided you.
We can all make better choices. We can change the channel when a television show treats sexual violence against women like sport, Game of Thrones.
Bye-bye! We won't miss you! Please don't get it taken off the air! The rest of us can carry on, watching men get viciously brutalized on a regular basis. Nutter! Nutter!
We can spend our box office dollars elsewhere when movies don't treat women as anything more than decorative objects.
I am profoundly confident that with enough fractally wrong, double-think Rorschach shit splatters of woo, you could say that about every single movie that features women. And even several that don't. You have an objectification problem. And you are trying to treat it by applying a projection problem. And it's only making it worse. For you, for the women, and especially for the men upon whom you project your objectification. And you probably objectify the men as well. Not by any recognizable sort of neurological definition of objectification. I mean by your own megalomaniacal propagandist definition.
We can stop supporting professional sports where the athletes treat their partners like punching bags.
Even the female athletes? Herpy derpy slurp? Yes, they do.
In other ways, men, and especially straight white men,
Call it.
can say no.
All right, no.
I will not publish with your magazine or participate in your project or otherwise work with you until you include a fair number of women, both as participants and decision makers.
Why? What? Give me an answer that doesn't reduce to either because vagina or because man bad, woman weak. See if you can get any feminist to give you an answer that doesn't reduce down to man bad, woman weak.
I won't work with you until your publication or your organization is more inclusive of all kinds of difference.
All kinds of difference. Excellent. Does that include men's rights advocates? Does it include Gamergate? Pray tell, does it include anti-feminism? Are any of these included in what you mean by inclusion? Actually, can you go ahead and give some advice to any Gamergator who's even thinking of so much as putting a logo on their booth?
Those of us who are underrepresented and invited to participate in such projects can also decline to be included until more of us are invited through the glass ceiling and we are tokens no more.
Invited? What? What's invited? I know, I'm just a white male shitlord. I don't understand this oppression thing where you get a complimentary invites to everything while I pay thousands and then get kicked out for nothing. It's a funny old world, so it is.
Without these efforts, without taking these stands, our accomplishments are going to mean very little.
I mean, thanks for the pep talk. You'll notice I've hijacked it for my own ends. Gamergate, close your eyes and imagine she's talking to you.
We can commit these small acts of bravery and hope that our choices trickle upward to the people in power. Editors, movie and music producers, CEOs, lawmakers, the people who can make bigger, braver choices to create lasting, meaningful change.
In many instances, that's how I define woo. If you're claiming that something is unique to your own side, and it turns out to apply also to your opponent's side to an equal or greater degree, then you are producing Barnum statements. And if it's for the sake of a pep talk, that's fine. If you're using language for the sake of invigorating a sports team or a crowd at a musical venue, by all means, woo away. Believe me, I cherish that kind of woo. But please do not chat a bunch of woo and act like it justifies your institutional bigotry. Please. That is most definitely not what woo is for. So I'm going to continue hijacking your speech, because when you remove all the references to race and gender, it actually becomes quite a touching speech. Close your eyes, Gigi. Close your eyes, bleeding hearts and artists. Close your eyes, unpopular human rights advocates. And for the love of all that is holy, keep them closed until I come back.
They treated me like I was nothing. I began to believe I was nothing. They stole my voice, and in the after, I did not dare to believe that anything I might say could matter. But I had writing, and there I wrote myself back together. I wrote myself toward a stronger version of myself. I am trying to become better in how I think and what I say and what I do without abandoning everything that makes me human. I hope that we can all do the same. I hope that we can all be a little bit brave when we most need such bravery.
All right, I'm back. Nothing else to say. Just thought you might like to see me. Hug.